Yeah, so Honda's losing about 10 grand for every single electric Prologue that they're making. And this team up with Nissan might actually be benefiting Honda more than we expected. Guys, if you're excited to talk about Honda, Nissan, their potential, well, more than potential, it's more like a likelihood at this point of their merging happening, along with, don't forget, little Mitsubishi. Smash the like button if you love this topic. It's exciting, it's evolving. And then we're also going to talk about Honda's new hybrid technology, and it raises some questions. It gets me excited, but it also raises some questions about maybe it's not enough, or maybe it's not encompassing enough for their global lineup. Guys, make sure you subscribed. We have a reveal for Honda again in the coming days. Let me pull up the image. These two will be revealed. They're coming in 2026 for Honda. I'm going to CES and I will debut these vehicles for you guys. Now, this one's already been debuted, but there are some changes with it, with the rear bumper, the lights, the mirrors will be different. So this is the Saloon. It's their take on a future sedan, but it'll be more production ready. So I'm excited to share that with you, but also this crazy Honda SUV. Some of you guys said it reminds you of the Element. It's giving me crazy vibes like Cybertruck. This thing is crazy looking, and it gets me excited because if it was just like any other crossover out there, it would put me to sleep. So I'm glad this thing has a striking design, and I'm excited to debut it for you guys. And that will be coming January 7th here on the channel. Honda CES, I will be there. All right, so let's get into what's going on with Honda, Nissan, hybrids, merging EVs. There's just a cacophony, if that's the right word, of stories flowing around Honda right now. All right. Honda is turning away from its founding principle of relying on their own technologies as it pursues a merger with Nissan amid a slump in the automobile business. Well, they're not really slumping, Honda, here in the United States. It's really everywhere else that they're struggling. Nissan's just struggling everywhere, sadly. So you're getting two companies that they might actually need some help. Honda needs funding essentially for their EVs, and it needs to be funded through profitable hybrids. Hybrids is not Honda's end game. They want to be fully battery electric or fuel cell, but yeah, mainly battery electric by 2040. And the hybrids are a stepping stone. If you look at Nissan, Toyota, Mitsubishi, hybrids and plug-in hybrids are not a stepping stone. They're a solution for now and into the future, because they don't see battery electrics as being the only viable option in the future. Now, you can say Honda doesn't either because they're hedging their bets with fuel cells, hydrogen fuel cell technology. But Honda with zero combustion engines is not a Honda I'm excited for, or should I say a future. That future vision of Honda with zero combustion engines is a future that feels devoid of Honda identity. Honda has started its brand, and its success is thanks to their motorcycle engines and their gasoline car engines and their incredible technology, refinement, and capabilities of those internal combustion engines. Now, they remind us that Honda has been using motorcycles to fund their automobile business. Check this out. Look at this amazing graph. Honda was losing money with their cars in 2020. Now, if we fast forward post COVID, COVID was good for Honda. Not in the thick of it, right? In 2021, right, their sales were down massively due to the chip supply issue. But look, they started making a lot of money post-COVID on their cars. They also started making even more money on their motorcycles, but things are going back down, and they're going to keep going back down here. Why is this going to keep going back down? Well, their sales are pretty much capped here in the United States. The reason why this is going down is largely due to China. Nissan too, right? Nissan's going down in China. Even Toyota's going down. Mazda, actually the Mazda EZ6 or whatever, the Mazda 6 electric that they have over there is actually doing really well for Mazda in China. And Southeast Asia is still seeing a huge demand for Honda motorcycles. Okay, go ahead and check out Kreifel Cycles, my second channel, my dedicated channel to two-wheel coverage. I just made a video for the top 5 Grom modifications, so check that out if you guys like two-wheel coverage. Nissan and Honda cannot rely on China anymore. Their sales have contracted about 50% or more in China this past since 2022 anyways. But besides China, Nikkei Asia reminds us that the EV operations in the US is not just the US, because it's Canada too. So they're building, here's the timeline I was looking for. They're building an additional EV plant, but not only that, they have joint ventures with other companies in Canada to produce batteries. So they're going to be kind of like Tesla in this regard, because Tesla is a joint venture, right, with Panasonic. Honda's doing the same thing, not with Panasonic, but with a couple other companies. If we go back to the last slide, like these POSCO, Asahi Kasei, and GS Yuasa, Honda's partnering with them to make sure that their batteries, their motors, their inverters, everything is going to be more affordable. That plant in Canada will be open around 2028. In the meantime, they're dumping so much money into EVs, more so than any other Japanese manufacturer. But also, their first wave of EVs are coming out of Ohio. I will be touring their new Ohio assembly line, the reworking of that Ohio plant in Marysville, end of January. So stay tuned for technology coverage in their plant, because I'm really excited to see how they're going to change things. If you missed my coverage in Japan, where at least I detail for you what mega casting, 3D friction stir welding is all about, all the different things they're doing to improve production technology and reduce costs. Go ahead and check that out. So let's move on to the current state though. Honda's not making the Prologue. General Motors is making the Prologue down in Mexico. Go and check out my review of the Equinox EV, which is on the same Ultium platform, also made in Mexico. But also check out my review of the Prologue. The Prologue's one of the best looking EVs, in my opinion, out there on the market. Other than its looks, there's nothing special about it. In fact, it has such a loud pedestrian warning sound, this UFO warbling sound, that it really kills the entire experience for me, and I don't recommend it, that vehicle, unless that doesn't bother you. So they're giving more incentives on this Prologue, way more than they were expecting. To add insult to injury, they're having to put out the fires in China. The market there is declining way faster than they expected and anticipated. It's been going down for them for a few years now. I think the height of Honda in China was like 2018, and they're nowhere close to those sales, as the Chinese government is really incentivizing homemade EV Chinese automakers. All right. So Honda makes money from cars, motorcycles, and don't forget about their bank, right? When you finance through Honda, they make money. The consolidated operating profit for Honda, though, is up 7%. Like we mentioned with this graph, their automobile segment has gone down by 14%. It's going to keep going down. Motorcycles keeps going up, and I think that'll keep going up. Automobiles, unless you're able to get cheap Chinese automobiles in your country, obviously United States and Canada not being two of those countries, cars have just gotten so expensive, and the affordability of motorcycles has improved in many parts of the world. And here in the United States, I don't know how much motorcycles is fueling the company here in North America. It's a small piece of the pie for motorcycles for Honda here. They offer a lot of motorcycles, but they don't make the most of the motorcycle volume and sales here. That's India, Thailand, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, etc. We mentioned that they're spending $10,000 per Honda Prologue to get it sold. That's $7,000 more. So they were expecting to only incentivize the Prologue $3,000. The EV tax credit is about ready to end. And without an EV tax credit, is Honda going to have to incentivize this now $17,500 per Prologue? There are 400 Prologues in my area. That is a ton of volume. If you look at Accord Hybrid, it has about double the available volume here. But the Accord Hybrid should be a much higher volume selling vehicle. Look, the Civic Hybrid, there are less Civic Hybrids available in my area than the Prologue, about the same amount of Honda Odysseys. So that's, I don't know, just an interesting number. But check this out. What's the lowest price here? Now, the EX is their entry-level trim, right? On the Prologue, 47.4, and look, 33,000. So that's about a $14,000 discount. Now, you might be saying, Kirk, they're probably putting the EV tax credit in there as well, but they're still incentivizing it at least $6,000, but it could be more. Honda sells a lot in California and in the states that abide by the California Air and Resources Board set of standards. So by 2026, zero emissions vehicles and plug-in hybrid share should be 24%. So a quarter of the vehicles they're selling in California and these other states have to be electrified. Now, Honda has no plug-in hybrids, but plug-in hybrids can only represent a certain percentage of this 24%. I want to say it's something like 35%, right? All these laws, all this regulation, it's got to be infuriating for these manufacturers. Honda's just trying to play the game here. And then it gets more strict year over year, right? 2029, 48%, and 2032, 82% are expected to be electrified. Honda's just trying to make sure that they can survive in a market that requires that sort of electric vehicle uptake. Even if the customers don't want it in those states, it's going to be forced on them unless Trump changes things. Who knows? I don't know. These manufacturers don't know either. They don't know what the future is going to be. They're just, Honda's trying to get out ahead of it if it goes that way. In the meantime, though, they're bleeding a ton of money. And so while Honda is trying to make all these big splashes with BEVs here in North America, they took me to Japan to talk about their BEVs. They didn't mention anything about hybrids. And in fact, they only just mentioned these hybrids, this big press release, and the new Prologue, which is going to have this new hybrid system. They only really did it for the Japanese market. Now, these will be global hybrids, but it's just interesting how Honda's very, very focused on advancing BEVs in the United States and not even talking about hybrids here stateside, all right, or their new generation of hybrids. It's not even there's no press release about these new hybrids on the American side yet, even though we're getting it at the end of 2025 in the new Prologue and in 2026 in many other vehicles. These are going to be very, very efficient. Supposedly, these new 1.5 liter hybrid and 2 liter hybrids are going to get up to Toyota levels of efficiency, about 10% more efficient than what they have right now. So, for example, I got I think it was about 47 miles per gallon on the Civic Hybrid. And I think I got about the same on the Accord Hybrid. They were within 1 mile per gallon of each other. Slightly different hybrid systems, but both based off the 2 liter. So if we add 10%, which is 4.7, right? It's going to get the Civic Hybrid to 51, 52 miles per gallon, which is pretty exciting. Now, what I would like to see is the availability of the 1.5 liter hybrid in the Civic in the United States and a range topping 2 liter. All right. I would actually much rather have the 1.5 liter hybrid over the base CVT 2 liter non-hybridized setup, because I think this 1.5 liter in a Civic, let's say it has 150 horsepower or something like that, you could see 60 miles per gallon easy on a Civic if it has a 1.5 liter hybrid. So hopefully Honda equips the Civic with both of these powertrains in the United States. Now, with these new hybrids, Honda can also add all-wheel drive. Toyota's been doing it forever. Toyota's been doing it for a long time, adding an electric motor to the back of their vehicle, their hybrids, and it gives it all-wheel drive. So what I'm going to do is pull up some images of this hybrid system. So this is the small. We don't see the small hybrid in America yet. I surely hope we do. It would be a travesty if we don't. The HR-V and the Civic could absolutely benefit from having this small hybrid eHEV system with available all-wheel drive. Now, what's cool about these hybrids, and Toyota's kind of doing this too. in some ways a step ahead of Honda. But what they're doing with these rear motors is they're also going to use the exact same rear motor unit for all-wheel drive on their EVs. There's a plus and a downside to it. What's the plus? Well, it reduces cost. You're able to get all-wheel drive for less money, sharing this motor with EVs. The problem is, in an EV, they can send a lot more juice to the electric motors. This motor is going to be capped due to the amount of power that can be sent to an electric motor in a hybrid system. Best case scenario, if you look at Toyota's hybrids with their larger e-axle in the back, they have about an 80 horsepower rear motor back there that you see in the RX 500h. All right. It's nice. It's good. But that means their EVs are going to be, in theory, largely front wheel drive based. Time will tell though. But how Honda would it be to make sure everything's front wheel drive based? Now, currently with the Ultium platform, you still see front wheel drive favoritism on the Prologue, but if you look at the ZDX, it's rear wheel drive favoritism. Rear wheel drive favoritism and bias is ideal for driving dynamics, power distribution. It's a better feeling. Vehicles handle better when they're rear wheel drive biased, but it doesn't look like Honda's going to be going that route. Probably more than likely with their 0 Series EVs are still probably going to be front wheel drive based. Time will tell though. Now, one of the ways Honda is going to make their hybrids more efficient and cost less, I mentioned the sharing of the components with EVs, especially this rear motor. They're also going to share these components between hybrid systems. So really the only thing that's getting swapped out between these hybrid systems is the battery configuration as well as the engine. All right, so the small size 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, this one, the 2-liter engine. They're going to be sharing these electric motors now. So essentially, the 1.5 liter is going to have a pretty potent electrified system connected to it, even if it might not be able to power it. All right, entirely. And then they're going to be sharing some of those components over here with the midsize hybrid. Obviously, this going with the bigger engine and probably more battery, you're going to be able to get more electrification assist out of this setup on the midsize. So the 10% better efficiency, lower cost. They said it's about, oh my gosh, this is a fun metric here. Let me pull it up. The current version of the Accord hybrid has achieved a 25% cost reduction compared to the Accord hybrid that went on sale in 2018. But the next generation will benefit a cost reduction of up to 50% compared to the model in 2018. All right. So they're saying that the Accord, and I just noticed this, the Accord will have a next generation hybrid in 2027, probably with all-wheel drive. Finally, right? The Camry just got it for the 2025 model year, and Honda's behind 2 to 3 years, seemingly, with their all-wheel drive technology. So you can chalk it up. Accord, CR-V, for sure getting this in 2027. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if CR-V hybrid gets this new setup in 2026. Nissan, on their other hand, is actually doing some similar things here. They're sharing components from their EVs to their hybrids. And you can see they're sharing the inverter between the two systems, the electric motor and the reducer, all right? And that, as you can see, is going to reduce costs for Nissan as well. And Honda's doing exactly what Nissan is doing here, modularizing their vehicles. So you're going to have a core piece of the vehicle, which is essentially the centerpiece, and then the things around it are going to be modified. So this will reduce development costs 50%. Variation of trim parts go down 70%. You also have a shorter lead time in development and production. Honda's onto the same sort of idea. I don't know if they got this idea from Nissan, but Honda's going to be incorporating it very, very soon. If you guys missed my video on how Japan's got a chance to drive the Prologue in this new hybrid system, check it out. These hybrids will be very fun to drive when you want them to be. It will mimic real gear shifts, and the car will feel like it's actually shifting gears very fast, like a DCT. So Honda is going to have the most engaging hybrids to drive. All right. Now, how does Nissan play into this? Well, I think over time, Nissan and Honda's hybrids will be the same hybrid, and that will further reduce costs between two brands. That might not happen until after 2030. But with Honda, Nissan, and Mitsubishi, they can play to each other's strengths and share their powertrains. So for Nissan, it's going to be using Honda's EV technology. You could see Nissans being, or at least Nissan badge vehicles being produced in Ohio and Canada. You will see Honda batteries made in Canada and the United States with different companies, right? LG is here in the United States with Honda, their battery plant in Ohio. Those batteries will be seen in Nissan and Mitsubishi EVs as well. Mitsubishi has a very important role to play here. And this is their expertise in plug-in hybrid technology. And that I need to circle back to Honda's presentation here. And there are only two hybrids being presented here, a mid-size and a small size. There's a huge gaping hole in Honda's lineup, and Nissan doesn't even have any hybrids, so they have a gaping hole everywhere. If you look at Honda, they just have one 2-liter hybrid in America, which is being used for their mid-size vehicles. There's nothing on the large-size vehicles, and they're calling this small, medium, right, and small, mid. Why would you have a small and mid-size hybrid and no large-size hybrid? What is going on here? Are they going to debut a large-size hybrid for North America because their vehicles here in North America are a lot bigger than where they are in Europe, Japan, and Southeast Asia? I sure hope so. It would be very short-sighted of them, in my opinion, to not have a large-size hybrid, but they've had large-size hybrids in the past with the MDX Sport Hybrid, the RLX Sport Hybrid. Those never made their way to the Honda lineup, surprisingly. And they just canceled them, and they didn't develop more into large hybrids. They went full into BEV for large, and that's what it seems like Honda's doing, right? With that teaser, do I still have that image up? The teaser of this. Instead of offering a hybrid on a large vehicle, they're just going to full battery electric. And that's a possibility. They just skip hybrid and plug-in hybrid on their. Look at the new Passport. There's no hybrid on it, no mention of hybrids. Great that it has a V6, but it's good to have powertrain options, and there's no option of a hybrid on it. So we have this hole on their large size platform, and this is where Mitsubishi can help massively. The Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid is fantastic, and it just got upgraded to 300 horsepower and even more range. So it's probably around 40 miles of range now. So it's going to compete a little bit better and directly, I would say, with the RAV4 plug-in hybrid powertrain, and it's really, really good. Mitsubishi's plug-in hybrid. I'm tempted to buy one. Honestly, I really enjoy that plug-in hybrid. I'm excited to see what the new refreshed Outlander plug-in hybrid is like to drive and what kind of efficiency it gets. So Nissan's already chipping into Mitsubishi. They said, hey, we want your plug-in hybrid in the Rogue, and it's coming in 2025. So Nissan will be absorbing Mitsubishi's plug-in hybrid system. And I 100% think if Honda doesn't have a large hybrid for the Odyssey, the Pilot, the Ridgeline, they need Mitsubishi's expertise on plug-in hybrids. I'm trying to pull up an image for you guys. I'm bringing up the Delica here because the Delica is coming back to the United States. This was a concept that I saw, and my jaw was on the floor at the Japan Mobility Show last fall. One of my favorite vehicles actually there, but it wasn't announced at the time that Mitsubishi was bringing the Delica back into the United States. Or should I say, was it ever into the United States? I'm trying to remember. But 100% the Delica is coming into the United States as a plug-in hybrid using the next-gen hybrid system that the Outlander is going to be using, or it could even be a step past that. This is supposed to come in the late 2020s, this plug-in hybrid minivan, and the market desperately needs plug-in hybrid minivans. Electric minivans are cool, but minivans are road tripping machines. Taking unexpected stops or going out of your way with a family is a potential nightmare situation if you run out of range on an EV minivan. But if you have a plug-in hybrid minivan, you just fill up. All right, and ideally charge at your hotel or your destination when you get there. So I'm excited for Mitsubishi and their excellent plug-in hybrid to be seen in other things than just the Outlander. It's going to be a welcome in the Rogue, and I sure as hope Honda gets to dip into Mitsubishi's. Probably the best thing about Mitsubishi right now is their plug-in hybrid. It's hard for me to recommend their other vehicles other than for cheap leases. But their plug-in hybrid is really valuable technology. Just leave it to Mitsubishi. I mean, if Honda's not going to do it and a Nissan can't seem to get anything right with hybridization, at least stateside, just rely on Mitsubishi to be this manufacturer and supplier of plug-in hybrid. So that's what I'm hoping for, but it needs to happen as soon as possible. The market here is not ready for the amount of EVs that Honda wants to make. I'm excited for them because I like EVs, but I don't want an EV only future for Honda. Only time will tell to see if that idea of battery electric by 2040 of Honda, if that will pan out or if they'll have to retract their vision of the future. I want more of this in Honda. I want more hybrids or standard hybrids even. And I also want manual transmissions to live on in hybrid in Hondas, and maybe that's what the Acura lineup's for at this point. Honda needs motorcycles and hybrids to fuel their very resource-driven and resource-hungry development of EVs. Leave it to Honda to be able to come out with some of the best EVs. I think they will have some of the best EVs. I don't doubt that. But Tesla has incredible EVs. Well, at least their technology. They can improve in a lot of ways, but they have good EVs. There's no denying that. Hyundai has good EVs. Those companies are not necessarily making a ton of money on EVs right now. Tesla more than anyone because they have economies of scale down. But Hyundai's not really making money on EVs, and they have some of the best, right? So what is the market going to be like? What are solid-state batteries? When are those coming? There's just so much unknown, especially with the regulations coming. These companies absolutely need each other. And I think the sharing of these technologies and pouring of resources of these companies to create a unified hybrid system, to create a unified EV ecosystem and architecture. It's going to reduce costs, make these cars better. You're trying to make things work from 3 different companies with 3 different business cultures. It's going to take time. And these companies don't really have time, in my opinion. The profits just get completely eviscerated from China. Mitsubishi area pulled out of China. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the comments. Can't believe this video has gone on for this long, but it's super important what's going on with these companies, and it keeps evolving. So if you guys enjoyed this content, like I said, I will be giving you guys a tour of Honda's EV production line in Ohio that's shared with hybrids. I will be giving you guys the reveal of this as well in just a couple weeks at CES. So thank you guys. Stay tuned. Peace out.